This week I have a bunch of free quilt patterns for you, and they are all inspired by spring. That means rain, that means flowers, and also a few more traditional patterns mixed in. I've separated all of the quilts into 4 categories. There's full-size quilts, mini quilts, which can easily be converted to full-size quilts. Then there are Tilda quilts, and I'm not sure why I'm putting Tilda quilts into their own category, but it feels right. And then the last category is a list of honorable mentions, meaning they are springy, but they are not free. So I'm going to leave links for all of the patterns in the description of this video. Please check them out if you're interested. I made mock-ups for a few of the quilts so you could see what they look like in a different colorway, and this month I only used one fabric line, Garden Variety by Anna Maria Textiles. This is a collection of yarn-dyed fabric, and these colors are not really my usual comfort zone. There's a lot more busy checks here and there that I'm not exactly comfortable with, but I thought it'd be fun to play around with them in the context of these spring quilts. Yeah, and that's another thing. They're not exactly super springy, but I tend to not like springy colors, so here we are. The very first pattern on this list is Peaceful Picnic. I believe it's designed by Riley Blake. And then down here, Serendipity 2, that's the fabric line, and I think that is designed by Mingy Kim. And I like that they put the skill level right here. So Confident Beginner. This quilt is made up of 2 main blocks. It's all squares and half square triangles on this block. So that's block number 1. And then block number 2, we have squares and flying geese. So very, very beginner friendly. Quilt number 2 is Springtime, Riley Blake Designs. And again, it says Confident Beginner down here, but really I think this one's easier than the first one. You're making a bunch of 9 patches and then setting them on point. Very, very simple. But there is a lot you can do with this pattern when it comes to choosing your fabrics. So you can get as busy or as simple as you want. And it's just a nice, airy quilt, I think. Quilt number 3, Norfolk Flowers. It does have applique, but don't let that stop you. If you do not want to do applique, you do not have to. You could instead leave these blocks blank, or you could put some other quilt block in there that you prefer. It doesn't have to be this design. But if you are looking for some applique practice, you could definitely cut out these shapes and use them and make a little mini quilt or something just to get some practice under your belt. But yeah, this one, it does remind me of a garden a bit, but more of like a formal English garden maybe. And then the last quilt in the full-size category is Blue Blossoms here, another Riley Blake Designs quilt. And this quilt is on the smaller side, but I definitely wouldn't consider it a mini quilt. But these blocks are very simple. We have some flying geese, some sew and flip corners, and then here for the stem, we have some more sew and flip corners. So I think this one is maybe a little bit more advanced just because you're cutting more different size pieces and trying to keep things organized. So a little bit more advanced than the first 2, but still very, very doable for a beginner, I think. Okay, let's transition over to mini quilts and single blocks. But remember, any of these can be made into a full-size quilt if you want, or just incorporated into another pattern if you'd like. So we're starting off with April Block Umbrella, which is very cute and simple, and this is just squares and half square triangles, and I think this would work up so great, and this umbrella part is absolutely perfect for your scraps. The next quilt we have is Radiance Bloom by Robin Pickens, and this one is a nice balance of traditional and modern, I think. There's traditional piecing, but then I think a little bit of a modern edge brought in with the semi-solids. But again, this one would work up so fast. We're talking half square triangles, a little bit of piecing here, and some sew and flip corners for the leaves. So you can just follow along all the way down the blog post. Here's some more color variations, and then if you go all the way down, here is the pattern right here, Radiance Bloom. Next up we have the Strawberry Block by Skyberries Handmade, And if I'm being honest, maybe this one does lean a little bit more summer than spring, but I thought I'd include it because it just has a nice fresh look, I think. And again, this is a very simple one, a great use of your scrappy reds and pinks. You've got squares, half square triangles, and I think this would be really cute made up as a whole quilt with just a bunch of really scrappy strawberries. And again, you can follow step by step on her blog. Now, Wondrous Wildflowers is definitely leaning more traditional here. It's a nice table runner, 21 by 57 inches. And again, really great place to use your scraps here. And again, this one is for confident beginners. Let's scroll down here. There's some strip piecing, some four patches, very easy, very approachable. Here is another single block. It is called Back Porch Blooms from Podunk Pretties. I think this one would be really cute as a mini quilt, but I also think it would be really cute as like a border maybe. It would be a good addition to a row quilt if you're working on putting together one of those. I think the piecing for this one is a little bit more challenging just because you have a lot more sizes and things that you're going to have to cut out. But overall, still pretty simple. It's just about organization with this one. I love this simple setting just all by itself, no other blocks, because it sort of reminds me of a still life painting. So it feels almost a little more formal than if you had several in a row. But that's just me, probably. And last but not least, we have the Tulip Quilt block from Center Street Quilts. Very cute. I think this one would work up really quickly. I feel like it would be a good size, maybe just one of them, to do a fabric postcard if you're interested in that. If I were going to make this one, I think I would go for different patterns for each flower, maybe different colors altogether. But this one is very beginner friendly also. And by the way, if you ever make any of these quilts, could you post pictures of them in the community tab on my channel, because I would love to see them, or you could tag me on Instagram because I'd love to see what you make. Okay, we finally made it to the Tilda Quilts. This is probably my favorite section, and we're going to start with the only beginner friendly project, in my opinion. This is just sew and flip corners. Very easy. There are a bunch of snowballed blocks in 2 different sizes. And you even could just do them all in one size if you wanted, just to make it easier on yourself. So we have the bigger one at 6.5 inches square, and the smaller one, each of these is 3.5 inch square. And then we'll scoot down here and you can see that they are arranged mostly in this rectangle block, but then you have a few different setting blocks just to make the math work out. And if you notice here, they used the smaller prints in the smaller blocks, and then they used the bigger prints in the bigger blocks. And I think that is a really good strategy if you're going to make this quilt. From here on, the patterns lean a little bit more towards intermediate skill level than beginners, because we've got a lot going on here. We have some little tiny pieces, just a little bit more precision will be needed, and a lot more cutting, a lot of different sizes. Just all in all, a very fun springy quilt. Look at them, so cute. I wonder how small their beaks are. And I almost forgot to say, this is the Flower Meadow quilt. Next up, Flower and Bees quilt. Got these big old plump bumblebees, I love it. And the same flower from Flower Meadows. I think this one might be just a hint easier. Lots of bees. You don't have to mirror the bees because you can just flip them around so they go the other way. So each bee block will be exactly the same. Next up we have the Potted Flowers quilt here. Very cute, very springy, very happy. I think personally, and maybe this is boring, I would do each of the flowers as daisies, so a lot of low volume white prints, and then really have fun with the pots. Just really big, bold, the kind of scraps that are hard to use up. I'd put them all in the pots. I also think personally, instead of a full quilt, I would make this one into a mini quilt. So maybe with 3 or 4 flowers and just do a nice rectangle or a table runner. What I like most about this quilt, the flower wreath quilt, is that you don't really see an obvious block. You don't really see where it starts and ends. And I really like quilts like that. So let's scroll down and you can see here we have that snowballed flower again. And we have mixed in different sized strips and then leaf blocks. And they come together in rows, but it's it's hard to pick it out when you're looking at the quilt itself. And last but not least, we have the Lolly Flowers pillow. And I can't tell if I like the light background or the blue background better. They have their own thing going on. It's just really cute. If you scroll down about halfway through the pattern, you will find the templates for the flowers. So it's just a little drunkard's path. Can be, I will admit, they're intimidating if you haven't done curves before, but this would be a great little project to practice your curves and not use up too much time or fabric experimenting. So I definitely recommend you give this one a try if you have been stuck avoiding curves. And for the grand finale, I have some honorable mentions for you. Remember, these are springy, but they are not free. Let's go through these quickly. First up, we have Hello Spring by Pen and Paper Patterns. Next up is Sweet Spools by My So Quilty Life. Chance of Rain by Wendy Shepherd. And another pattern called Chance of Rain by Pen and Paper Patterns. Spring Postage by Lamb Farm Designs. Flourish by Lella Boutique. And Rainy Days Mini by Ellis and Higgs. Thanks for spending time with me today, quilters. If you want to support this channel and help me buy supplies and materials for future videos, please visit my Buy Me a Coffee page linked in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss upcoming videos. And I'll see you again real soon. Bye!